Hey guys, welcome to the NFL Thanksgiving edition. I'm going to go through Thursday, the Thanksgiving games quickly here. Quick recap of Week 11. 2-2 on the picks. I took Indianapolis plus 7.5 against Philadelphia. That was my favorite pick of the week. They were able to come through in that game. A game that actually they should have won. Just a couple of missed opportunities for the Colts, some bad clock management, and let the Eagles back into it. But that was a pretty easy one. Eagles squeaking out a 1-point win, so we got that one right. Also took the Dallas Cowboys, so I broke that game down pretty well in the last video. A kind of a flat spot for Minnesota, maybe a bit of a trappy line, but I think it was more of a flat spot for Minnesota. And the Cowboys buying low on them. They came out and just put a whooping on Minnesota, 40-3. Didn't even watch that game really. That game was over very quickly. And then the two we got wrong, I took Pittsburgh at plus 5.5. And listen, if you would have told me before the game the Steelers were going to score 30 points, I would have thought they would cover 5.5 against Cincinnati. Got to give Joe Burrow credit. He hung in the pocket all day. He got really good protection from his own line. Delivered some good passes even without Jamar Chase. And the Bengals are able to come ahead in that game. But that one, you got to tip your hat to the Bengals. The other game I took is Denver minus 1.5 against Vegas. That was a game Denver should have won. But Nathaniel Hackett shows why he's one of the worst coaches in the league right now, if not the worst. The Broncos missed opportunities again. No reason for the Raiders to win that game. 2 Davante Adams touchdowns, and that was it. The Raiders did nothing offensively. The Broncos at the end of the first half, right there at the goal line, should have punched it in for a touchdown. Gordon fumbles it. The Broncos then have to settle for a field goal, which was then blocked. That was a big turning point in the game. But even with all of that happening, which pretty much it was a close game that could have been very well been the difference. At the end of the game there, the Broncos have a 3-point lead. The Raiders are out of timeouts. A first down ends the game. The Broncos weren't able to get a first down. But then on third down, Russell Wilson, the freaking moron, throws the ball away. I mean, this guy takes 6-7 sacks a game. The one time where a sack actually would have been a good idea, instead of just going down and letting the clock run another 40 seconds off and giving the ball back to the Raiders with about a minute left, no timeouts, he throws the ball away, and now there's a minute 40. The Raiders have plenty of time. They kick a field goal and go into overtime and win. Nathaniel Hackett, I mean, you could just see the monkeys in his head just kind of just hitting, all the instruments. He had no idea what was going on. Just so confused. I think he gave up his play calling last week too, just to do head coaching. And he was just a disaster. And Russell Wilson, come on, you're a veteran guy. You got to know you cannot throw the ball away in that situation. So the Broncos completely messed that game up, but it is what it is. Happy with the Indy pick, the Dallas pick. A bit unlucky there with the Broncos game, but overall a solid week. 2-2, I mean, was the worst I should have went. There was a point there where I thought I was going to go 4-0, at the very worst 3-1. But it is what it is. Just didn't go our way at the end. So this video here, guys, going over the 3 Thanksgiving games. Haven't played any of these games, but it's Thanksgiving, so I thought I'd give away my opinions on this game. Like, subscribe, comment, guys. Again, join the Patreon, to get some bonus picks and just to show some support. I had another one subscribed in this past week, so thank you for that. And let's get into the Thursday Thanksgiving games. First game is Buffalo at Detroit. Buffalo is laying anywhere from 8.5 to 9.5, depending on where you're looking. Detroit's a very public play here, like they are every Thanksgiving. And listen, if I'm playing this game, I'm laying, and that means I'm taking the Buffalo Bills at minus 8.5. It's not my betting style. I'm a guy who will take. I like dogs, typically like dogs. Or I'll take a home favorites. I'll lay 7 sometimes at home, or on the road, a small favorite like Dallas last week. But I'm typically not laying more than a few points on the road. I definitely have never bet more than a touchdown on the road. And this one qualifies for that. The Bills are favored, by about 9 points. But there's only I think the Thanksgiving games to me, certainly the first two games, are actually not necessarily easy in terms of who's actually going to come out ahead. But in terms of the picks, I think they're pretty easy. There's only one way I can look at making these first two games. If I'm playing, I'm picking Dallas, or I'm picking Buffalo. Sorry, I'll lay the 8.5. There's no way I'm picking Detroit here. Got to give the Lions credit. They've won 3 in a row. They've won 2 straight on the road. They beat the Giants last week by margin. And Buffalo hasn't played well the last couple of weeks, but the line 3 weeks ago probably would have been 14-15, and because Buffalo hasn't played well and Detroit has, this line has come all the way down to to the number it is now. I think you're getting value with Buffalo. I just don't see Detroit being able to keep up with this team. The Bills played in Detroit last week. They chose to play in the visitors' locker room, or to dress in the visitors' locker room. Kept all their stuff there. I would have liked if they would have stayed in Detroit, but they went back home and then flew back out to Detroit. But it's a short trip. The Lions haven't played at home since, I think, November the 6th. So I think this is just a good spot for Buffalo. I think actually playing in Detroit last week is a bit of a benefit to them. And this is a step up in class for the Lions. They haven't beaten, although they've won 3 in a row, they beat Chicago, a bad Bears defense. They beat the Giants, who may have been looking ahead to their Thanksgiving game, and then I don't know, they won another game in there somewhere. But Buffalo's going to be, by far the best team that they're going to play during this streak. I think Buffalo scores over 30. I think they score about 34 points. I can't see Detroit scoring more than 24. I'm predicting like a 34-21 game. Either way, I think Buffalo wins by double digits. If I'm playing, I'm a laying. Give me the Buffalo Bills minus 8.5. Second game, the Giants at the Cowboys. This is another big spread. This one now I see at 10.5 at some spots. Only one way I can play this game, and that's grabbing the points, taking the New York Football Giants at plus 10.5. The look-ahead line for this game last week was Cowboys minus 6.5. Cowboys big win, Giants big loss. All of a sudden, bam, it balloons up to 10.5. Now, the Giants are a pretty public play in this one, so fading the public, I'm not always going to fade the public. Public dogs are usually ones that you want to fade, and that's with the Lions this week. Also with the Giants, because they are a very public play, but I do like that. I think you have to take the Giants in this game. I don't think you can lay that big of a number with the Cowboys on Thanksgiving. They usually play tight games. I don't see them winning by margin in this game. Giants can run the football. They're going to be okay in this game. Keep it close. The Cowboys probably come out win still. But I think the Giants keep this, somewhat close. 10.5 to me is way too many points. Give me the Giants at plus 10.5. Some of these games might be good teaser opportunities too. For instance, in the Bills game, you can take a 7-point teaser and just bet them down to 2.5. It doesn't really work in the Cowboys game actually, because the game's been up to 10. So even a 7-point teaser doesn't get you below the key number of 3. But in the next game, you can use it. You can use a teaser in the next game, because the last game is Minnesota at home to New England, and the Vikings are minus 2.5. So if you want, you can use a 7-point teaser there and bet the Patriots up to 9.5. So some good teaser opportunities for Thursday. And you can just combine them, obviously, with some Sunday games. 7-point teasers typically aren't, just a bit of a side note here, 7-point teasers typically aren't ones you want to bet. You usually got to lay a minus 140. 6-point teasers are usually minus 120. So if you can get a 6-point teaser, even better. But when you get these spreads up to 9.5, sometimes the books will do that on purpose to protect themselves with teasers. So if they kept the Bills game, for instance, at 8.5, which it is in some spots, you can use a 6-point teaser to get them to 2.5. It's very favorable. But if you can get that line, if the books can bring that line up to 9.5, now you got to use a 7-point teaser to get them below the 3. So that's why sometimes you'll see the books move them around a dead number, because the Bills were about 7.5, and then all of a sudden it went up to 9.5, and I think that was to protect the books against teasers, because those are dead numbers anyway. Whether it's a 7.5 or 9.5 point, it really doesn't make that much of a difference. So the Patriots playing in Minnesota, Vikings, like I said, 2.5 point favorite. This one here, you can keep the points. Give me the money line, the New England Patriots. You can probably get them at plus 130, or plus 125 on the money line. I like the Patriots here. The Vikings. Listen, Kirk Cousins surprisingly has been one of the most profitable quarterbacks off a loss. He's something like 33-17 in the last 50. But Kirk Cousins in a primetime game at night is terrible. I think he's like 11-18, something like that. So he doesn't do well in these type of games. Kirk Cousins is good at 1 o'clock games. He's not good at primetime games. He's not good at those 4:30 games like he did last week against Dallas. I think he would have been better playing the Detroit game, for instance, but playing an 8 o'clock, 8:30 game, whatever it is, Thursday night, that qualifies for a primetime game. And I don't like Kirk in these situations. Frankly, I just don't like Minnesota right now. I think they are overrated. They, on the metrics, do not support an 8-2 record. They get outgained every game. I think they average 5.7 yards a play and give up 6.2 yards a play, so that's not good. It's surprising that I think their net points actually is negative now after that Dallas game. So I'm not sure. They've won a lot of tight games, and eventually you will regress in those one-score games. New England, they definitely have the better offense. New England's offense is terrible, but New England has a top 10 defense. They have a better coach. And the Patriots somehow are 6-4. They continue to grind out games. I think they'll do enough. I think the Vikings are missing one of their offensive linemen. I think Judon will be in Kirk's face all day, like Parsons was last week. So I just like New England in this game. So if I'm going to play this one, I'm taking New England on the money line. Those would be my 3 picks. Lay it with Buffalo. Don't take Detroit. You'll just fucking hate yourself. Lay it with Buffalo at 8.5. Take New England on the money line. And I would take the Giants at plus 10.5. Not saying I'm betting these games, but if I'm going to play those games, those to me are easy. I'm just not laying that many points of Dallas. I'm not taking the Lions. I'm sure as hell not taking the Detroit Lions. And I don't trust Minnesota. I know people will like them, and they are a public play this week. But to me, the Patriots are a lot more. They're a stout defense, better coached, more disciplined. And I think this one here, the Vikings, I think, will come back down to earth a little bit. So those would be my 3 plays. I most likely will do another video maybe tomorrow for Sunday's games. But I just want to get this Thursday video out there, guys, for Thanksgiving. Don't go crazy. There's no bye weeks this week, so there's a full slate of games on Sunday. But obviously a lot of people are going to want some action on Thanksgiving. So those are my opinions. Like, guys, subscribe, comment. Thanks for all the support in the past week. Keep spreading the word. Join Patreon. Let's keep it going. I will, like I said, put up probably another video. I'm hoping tomorrow or Friday at the latest. So keep checking in. Turn on post notifications. Good luck. Thanksgiving.